The door slammed shut behind Peter with a finality that echoed through his soul, his father's voice still ringing in his ears. "Get out, and don't come back. You're no son of mine." At 19, standing on the rain-slicked porch of their suburban Chicago home, Peter clutched his backpack, the weight of rejection heavier than any storm. He had come out to his dad that evening, hoping for understanding, but instead, he faced a fury born of old prejudices, leaving him homeless in a world that suddenly felt vast and unforgiving. Peter's mind raced as he trudged down the street, the city's lights blurring through unshed tears. Why did I think he'd accept it? He thought, replaying the scene in his head. The way his father's face twisted from surprise to disgust, the accusations of betrayal flying like daggers. Growing up, Peter had always sensed the unspoken rules in their household. Be strong, be straight, be the son his dad, a veteran mechanic named Robert, could brag about at the garage. But Peter couldn't hide anymore. His feelings for his high school friend, Jamie, had grown too real, too insistent. Jamie, with his easy smile and quiet support, had been the one person who made Peter feel seen. Now, without a home, how could he even face him? He pulled out his phone, fingers trembling as he texted Jamie, "Dad kicked me out. Can I crash at yours?" The reply came almost instantly, "On my way. Stay put." Relief washed over Peter, but it was laced with shame. What kind of man gets thrown out like trash? He wondered, sitting on a bus stop bench, the cold seeping into his bones. Memories flooded him. Childhood fishing trips with Dad, where Robert would ruffle his hair and say, "You're gonna make me proud, kid." But pride had conditions, apparently. As headlights approached, Peter stood, spotting Jamie's beat-up Honda. Jamie jumped out, pulling him into a hug that felt like salvation. "I'm so sorry, Peter. We'll figure this out," Jamie whispered, his voice steady amid Peter's storm. They drove to Jamie's apartment, a cramped one-bedroom in a run-down building on the city's edge. Jamie's parents were more accepting, but they lived out of state, leaving him to fend for himself while attending community college. As they settled in, Peter poured out the story, his voice breaking. He said, "I'm a disappointment, that Mom would be ashamed if she were alive." Robert had raised Peter alone after his wife's death from cancer when Peter was 10, turning grief into a rigid code of masculinity. Jamie listened, holding Peter's hand, his thumb tracing soothing circles. "Your dad's wrong. You're brave for telling him. And you're not alone." That night, as Peter lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, doubt crept in. Was coming out worth this? Could he rebuild without his father's shadow looming? The next morning, reality hit harder. Peter had no job, just a part-time gig at a coffee shop, and his savings were meager. He called his aunt, Sarah, his mom's sister who lived in New York. "Come stay with me," she urged over the phone, her voice laced with anger at Robert. "Your father needs to learn that love isn't conditional." But Peter hesitated. Fleeing felt like defeat. Instead, he decided to stay in Chicago, enrolling in night classes for graphic design, a passion he'd hidden from his dad. Jamie supported him, their friendship deepening into something more tentative, stolen glances turning into quiet confessions. "I like you, Peter, more than friends," Jamie admitted one evening over pizza. Peter's heart soared, but fear tempered it. What if this ruins everything? What if I'm not ready? Weeks turned into months, and Peter scraped by, crashing on Jamie's couch while job hunting. Society's judgments mirrored his father's. Subtle stares at the coffee shop when he mentioned Jamie, whispers about those kinds in the neighborhood. One day, a customer overheard him on the phone with Jamie and sneered, "Keep that stuff private, kid." Peter's blood boiled, but he bit back, thinking, "Why should I hide who I am?" It fueled his resolve, pushing him to join a local LGBTQ support group. There, he met others with similar stories, their shared pain weaving a net of solidarity. Yet, inwardly, Peter wrestled with resentment. "Dad taught me to stand up for myself, but he can't stand up for me?" The irony stung. Meanwhile, Robert sat alone in the empty house, the silence deafening. At first, rage sustained him. He'd done the right thing, upholding values from his military days. But nights brought doubt. What if Peter is hurt out there? He pushed it away, throwing himself into work, barking orders at the garage. Coworkers noticed his edge, one asking, "Everything okay with the kid?" Robert snapped, "Mind your business." Deep down, guilt gnawed. He'd loved his son, but this was unnatural, wasn't it? Society said so, his church friends nodded in agreement. Yet, memories of Peter as a boy, vulnerable after his mom's death, haunted him. Did I fail him? Peter's life began to shift when he landed a freelance design gig, his talent shining through. Jamie cheered him on, their relationship blossoming amid the chaos. One night, as they walked hand in hand through a park, a group of teens jeered, "Faggots!" Peter froze, old wounds reopening, but Jamie stood firm. "Ignore them. We're stronger." Inside, Peter questioned, "Am I strong enough?" The incident sparked a fire. He started volunteering at the support group, advocating for youth facing rejection. It gave purpose to his pain, but the ache for family lingered. He sent Robert a text, "I'm okay. Hope you are too." No reply came, deepening the void. As winter gripped Chicago, Peter faced his first holiday alone. Jamie invited him to his family's, but Peter declined, not wanting to impose. Instead, he wandered the streets, snowflakes mirroring his isolation. Why does love have to cost so much? He pondered, tears freezing on his cheeks. Back at the apartment, Jamie waited with hot cocoa and open arms. "You're my family now," Jamie said, pulling him close. Their kiss was tentative, born of shared vulnerability, but it ignited hope. Yet, Peter's mind whispered warnings. What if Dad's right? What if this is wrong? Robert, too, grappled with the season's emptiness. The house, once filled with Peter's laughter, now echoed with regret. He drove by Jamie's building once, spotting Peter through a window, looking happy. Jealousy flared, how dare he move on? But envy gave way to sorrow. "I miss my boy," Robert admitted inwardly, the admission cracking his facade. At church, the pastor preached forgiveness, words piercing his heart. Should I reach out? Pride held him back, societal expectations chaining him. "Real men don't back down," he told himself, but the lie rang hollow. Peter's freelance work picked up, allowing him to afford a small studio. Independence tasted sweet, but bittersweet. Each success reminded him of what he'd lost. At the support group, he shared his story, inspiring others. One teen, facing similar rejection, hugged him afterward. "Thanks for giving me hope." Peter smiled, but inside, turmoil raged. Hope for what? A world that still hates us. Jamie noticed his moods, urging therapy. "You don't have to carry this alone." Peter resisted at first, fearing vulnerability, but eventually agreed. Sessions unearthed buried grief, losing Mom, then Dad's love. "I just wanted him to see me," Peter confessed to the therapist, tears flowing. As spring approached, tension built. Robert's health faltered, a minor heart scare from stress. Alone in the hospital, he reflected, "What if I die without fixing this?" The thought terrified him. Discharged, he scrolled through old photos, Peter's smiling face a dagger. Society's voices faded. Paternal instinct surged. But how to bridge the gap? Shame paralyzed him. Peter, meanwhile, thrived outwardly, his designs gaining recognition. Jamie proposed a weekend getaway, a step toward commitment. Excitement mingled with anxiety. Am I worthy of this happiness? The question haunted him as they packed. The getaway to a cabin in Wisconsin was meant to be a respite, but for Peter, it unearthed deeper fissures. As they drove through winding roads, Jamie's hand on his knee felt like an anchor, yet Peter's thoughts drifted to Robert. Why can't I let go? He wondered, staring at the passing trees. Arriving, they unpacked, the cozy space inviting intimacy, but Peter's mind was a whirlwind. That night, by the fire, Jamie opened up. "I love you, Peter. Through all this mess, you've shown me what strength looks like." Peter's heart clenched. Love? It was everything he craved. But fear whispered, what if I lose this too? Back in Chicago, Robert's isolation deepened. The garage felt emptier, his coworkers' chatter a reminder of his solitude. One evening, he overheard them discussing a gay colleague's wedding, casual acceptance stinging like salt. They're okay with it? He thought, confusion brewing. At home, he poured a drink, memories assaulting him. Peter's first bike ride, his mom's proud smile. Grief for her resurfaced, intertwined with regret for Peter. I pushed him away because I couldn't face change. Robert realized, the admission burning. He drafted a text, "Son, can we talk?" But deleted it, pride warring with longing. Peter returned from the trip invigorated. Their bond solidified, but societal pressures mounted. At work, a client balked at his portfolio after spotting a pride pin on his bag. "I don't support that lifestyle," the man said, canceling the deal. Rage surged in Peter. Why does my love threaten them? He vented to Jamie, who suggested activism. Channel it into change. Peter joined a protest against anti-LGBTQ bills, chanting amid crowds, adrenaline masking inner doubt. Am I fighting for others or proving something to Dad? Robert's world cracked further when his best friend, Mike, confessed his own son was gay. I accepted him, Bob. Life's too short for hate. The words hit like a hammer. That night, Robert searched online, reading stories of parents reconciling. Tears fell as he confronted his biases. Was I wrong all along? Society had evolved, but he lagged, trapped in outdated fears. He called Sarah, Peter's aunt. "How's he doing?" he asked, voice cracking. "Better without you," she snapped, but softened. "Reach out, Robert, before it's too late." Peter's activism led to a speaking opportunity at a youth conference. Nervous, he prepared, drawing from his pain. On stage, he shared, "Rejection from family cuts deepest, but it doesn't define us." Applause thundered, but inwardly, he crumbled. Why do I still crave his approval? Jamie waited backstage, pride in his eyes. "You were amazing." Their embrace felt like home, yet Peter's heart ached for the one he'd lost. Tensions escalated when Robert showed up at the coffee shop. Peter froze behind the counter, heart pounding. "What do you want?" he asked, voice steady despite the storm inside. Robert shifted awkwardly. "To talk. I miss you, son." Peter's mind screamed. "Miss me? After throwing me out?" "Not here," he said, agreeing to meet later. Jamie worried. "Be careful. Don't let him hurt you again." The meeting at a neutral park was charged. Robert started, "I was wrong, seeing you gone. It broke me." Peter listened, anger bubbling. "You called me a disappointment. Said Mom would be ashamed." Robert winced. "I was scared. Society drilled it into me. Men like us don't." He trailed off. Peter pressed. "Like us? You mean gay?" The word hung heavy. Robert nodded. "I'm trying to understand." But Peter saw red flags, conditional acceptance. Inside, conflict raged. Forgive him or protect myself. The conversation ended unresolved. Robert pleading for time. Peter left, turmoil churning. Jamie consoled him. "You don't owe him anything." But Peter pondered, what if forgiveness heals me too? Society's divides mirrored their rift, progress versus tradition. Robert returned home deflated, but determined. He attended a PFLAG meeting, hearing parents' stories. Empathy bloomed. "I can change," he vowed. But doubt lingered. Is it too late? Peter's career soared with a big contract, but personal strife intensified. Friends questioned his hesitation with Robert. "Family matters," one said. Peter snapped. "Not when they reject you." Inner monologue tormented. Am I holding on to hate like he held on to prejudice? A family emergency tested them. Sarah's illness brought Peter to New York. Robert called, offering support. "Let me help." Peter refused at first, pride echoing his father's. But vulnerability won. "Okay." Robert flew in, awkward reunions stirring emotions. At the hospital, they talked haltingly. Robert admitted, "I failed you after your mom died, turned my grief into control." Peter teared up. I needed you to love me as I am. The exchange cracked walls, but trust was fragile. Back in Chicago, Jamie proposed moving in together. Joy surged, but Peter hesitated, Robert's influence lingering. Am I ready for commitment amid this chaos? Robert's transformation continued. He volunteered at LGBTQ events, facing backlash from old friends. Traitor, one called him. Isolation hit, mirroring Peter's past. Karma? He wondered, the pain sharpening his regret. Peter witnessed Robert's efforts via Sarah. Admiration mixed with skepticism. Is this genuine? As summer heated, a community event brought them face to face. Robert approached. I'm proud of you, son. Peter's heart twisted. Proud? After everything? The encounter sparked deeper reflection. Peter confided in Jamie. Part of me wants to believe him. Jamie supported. Follow your heart. But Peter's inner voice warned. Hearts break easily. The community event lingered in Peter's mind like a persistent echo. Robert's words. I'm proud of you. Replaying endlessly. Pride? From the man who shattered my world? Peter thought, pacing the apartment while Jamie watched with concern. The emotional weight pressed heavier now, each day amplifying the internal war. Forgiveness seemed tantalizingly close, yet betrayal's scars burned fresh. That night, dreams haunted him. Childhood scenes twisted with rejection, waking him in sweat. Why can't I move past this? Society's acceptance grew, but personal wounds festered deeper. Robert, meanwhile, dove into self-education, reading books on LGBTQ issues, his mind expanding painfully. Old beliefs crumbled, replaced by empathy's ache. I hurt my boy because of ignorance, he admitted inwardly, tears staining pages. At work, he defended a young gay mechanic against slurs, earning respect but losing allies. Isolation clawed at him, karma's bite sharp. Was this my punishment? The question tormented, fueling his resolve to mend. Peter's relationship with Jamie hit turbulence. During a dinner, Peter snapped over a minor disagreement, projecting his turmoil. Sorry, he muttered later, head in hands. Jamie hugged him. Talk to me. Peter confessed. Dad's change feels too convenient. What if it's a trap? Jamie urged patience, but Peter's doubts spiraled. Am I sabotaging us because of him? A controversial bill in Illinois banning conversion therapy sparked debate. Peter advocated fiercely online, his posts going viral. Supporters cheered, but trolls attacked. Disgusting lifestyle. The hate mirrored Robert's past words, intensifying Peter's rage. Why fight when family turns first? At a rally, he spoke passionately, voice cracking with emotion. Jamie beamed from the crowd, but Peter felt hollow. Success without reconciliation tasted ashes. Robert saw Peter's post, pride swelling amid guilt. He commented anonymously, well said, but anonymity felt cowardly. That evening he called Peter. I support the bill. And you? Peter paused, heart racing. Why now? Robert sighed. Because I see the harm I caused. Society's changing. I need to too. The call ended tensely, Peter's mind reeling. Believe him or guard my heart? Inner conflict peaked during therapy. Explore the pain, the counselor said. Peter delved. He was my hero, then my villain. Forgiving feels like betrayal to myself. Tears flowed, catharsis raw. Jamie waited outside, their bond strained by Peter's preoccupation. I love you, but this is consuming you, Jamie admitted later. Peter nodded, fear gripping. Lose Dad forever, or lose Jamie? Robert faced his own crisis, a garage layoff due to economic downturn. Financial stress compounded emotional. Alone, he reflected. I built a life on false strength. Now it's crumbling. He reached out to old military buddies, confessing his journey. Some rejected, others empathized. One said, love your kid, man. That's real courage. Inspired, Robert wrote a letter to Peter, pouring out regrets. Peter received it days later, hands shaking as he read. I was blind, son. Your mom's death broke me, and I broke you. Please, let's try again. Emotions crashed, Anger, sorrow, hope. Why does this hurt so much? He showed Jamie, who advised caution. Test his sincerity. They met at a cafe, air thick with unspoken words. Robert started. I attended a Pride event. Saw families like what we could be. Peter's eyes widened. You? At Pride? Robert nodded. For you. Skepticism warred with warmth in Peter. Actions matter more than words. Robert agreed, offering to join Peter's next advocacy event. The gesture touched Peter, but doubt lingered. Is this redemption or desperation? As emotions intensified, Peter's work suffered. A deadline missed due to distraction. Boss reprimanded, adding pressure. Inside, he screamed, why can't life give me a break? Jamie suggested a break from Robert. Focus on us. But Peter couldn't. Family ties pulled relentlessly. Robert's health scare returned. A checkup revealing high blood pressure. Doctor warned, stress is killing you. Alone in bed, Robert wept. I deserve this for what I did. Karma's justice felt cruel, pushing him toward amends. Peter learned of it through Sarah, concern flickering. Visit him? The question haunted. At Jamie's urging, he did, arriving at the house tentatively. Robert looked frail, vulnerability raw. Thanks for coming. They talked hours, unearthing pains. Mom's loss, unspoken grief. Peter shared his journey, Robert listening without defense. I'm sorry, Robert repeated, tears streaming. The visit shifted something. Peter left conflicted, heart heavier with possibility. Jamie noticed. Progress. Peter nodded, but inwardly questioned. Can broken trust mend? Society's conflicts mirrored theirs. A local hate crime against a gay couple sparked outrage. Peter organized a vigil, inviting Robert. He attended, standing awkwardly amid rainbows. Seeing Peter lead, pride genuine now. My son's a leader, he told a stranger, voice choked. Peter spotted him, emotions surging. Approach or ignore. He approached, their hug brief but profound. Yet Peter's mind whispered, too good to be true? As feelings deepened, Jamie proposed. Marry me, Peter. Joy exploded, but timing felt off amid family drama. Yes, but let's wait. Jamie hurt, understanding waning. Don't let him eclipse us. Robert's transformation faced test. A church friend confronted him. You're condoning sin. Robert retorted. Love isn't sin. The fallout isolated him further, karma's cycle turning. Peter wrestled nightly. Forgive fully or hold boundaries. The weight crushed, emotions rawer than ever. The proposal hung between Peter and Jamie like a fragile thread, Jamie's eyes searching Peter's for certainty. Wait, because of him? Jamie asked, voice laced with hurt. Peter's chest tightened. How to explain the tornado inside? I love you, but this unfinished business devours me, he thought, guilt compounding. That night, sleep evaded, memories assaulting. Robert's rejection versus recent olive branches. Why must love demand choices? Society preached progress, but personal battles raged fiercer. Robert's isolation peaked. Old friends ghosted, the garage a lonely echo. At a PFLAG meeting, he shared his story, voice trembling. I lost my son to my hate. Now I'm fighting to win him back. Applause came, but inwardly, despair clawed. What if he never forgives? Karma's retribution felt endless, health deteriorating under stress. Doctor prescribed meds, but pills couldn't heal regret. Peter's vigil for the hate crime victims turned chaotic. Counter-protesters shouted slurs, police intervening. In the fray, Peter spotted Robert shielding a young attendee. Bravery or show? Post-event, they talked. Why risk it? Peter demanded. Robert replied, because it's right. And for you. Vulnerability shown, cracking Peter's defenses. But doubt persisted. Actions now, but what about before? Jamie's patience frayed. Over breakfast, he said, I can't compete with this ghost. Peter panicked. Lose Jamie? The thought terrified more than Robert's rejection. You're my future, Peter insisted, pulling him close. Yet inner voice mocked. Prove it then. They reconciled tentatively, but tension simmered. A family gathering at Sarah's, post-illness recovery, forced confrontation. Robert attended, atmosphere electric. Toasts turned to talks. Sarah prodded, "Fix this." Peter and Robert stepped outside. "I want you in my life," Robert said, eyes pleading. Peter's emotions erupted. "You threw me out. Like garbage." Tears flowed. "I know. I hate myself for it." The raw honesty pierced Peter. Why does forgiving feel like surrender? Back inside, Jamie watched, jealousy flickering. Later, he confessed, "I'm scared you'll choose him over us." Peter reassured, but inwardly admitted, "Part of me might." Robert's karma deepened. A lawsuit from a disgruntled client threatened the garage. Financial ruin loomed. Alone, he broke down. "This is payback for my cruelty," he called Peter, voice weak. "I might lose everything." Peter's heart twisted. Pity or satisfaction? He visited, seeing Robert's frailty. "We'll get through," Peter said, surprising himself. The visit unearthed more. Robert revealed suppressed feelings from his youth, societal pressure burying them. "I projected my fears onto you." Peter listened, empathy surging. Am I like him, hiding pains? The revelation bonded them, but complicated everything. Jamie's ultimatum came. "Resolve this or I'm out." Pressure mounted, Peter's mind fracturing. Therapy intensified, delving into generational trauma. "Break the cycle," counselor urged. Peter pondered. "Forgive to free myself?" A turning point. Peter invited Robert to dinner with Jamie. Awkwardness reigned, but conversations flowed. Robert complimented Jamie. "You make him happy." Jamie thawed slightly. Peter watched, hope blooming amid fear. Is this family? Yet, backlash hit. Robert's church excommunicated him for promoting deviance. Devastated, he questioned everything. Was change worth this loss? Karma's irony stung deepest. Peter's advocacy work led to a media interview, sharing his story nationally. Praise poured, but so did hate mail. "Your dad's right, disgusting." The words reopened wounds. Why persist when hate endures? Jamie supported, their bond strengthening through trial. Robert watched the interview, tears of pride. He texted, "You're my hero." Peter replied, "Thanks, Dad." The words slipped out, emotions overwhelming. As bonds mended, Jamie and Peter planned their future. But Robert's crisis peaked, the garage closed. Bankrupt, he faced homelessness. Irony hit Peter. Now he's the one cast out. He offered help, Robert refusing at first. "I deserve this," Peter insisted. "No one does." Helping Robert relocate to a small apartment, father and son talked endlessly. Regrets aired, forgiveness tentative. Peter's heart ached with complexity. Love him again, but never forget. Jamie's support waned. A fight erupted. "It's always about him." Peter yelled back, "He's family." The rift deepened, proposal on hold. Inside, Peter despaired. Gain one, lose another? Robert noticed, advising, "Don't lose Jamie for me." Wisdom born of loss. Peter reflected. Balance possible? Emotions crested as Peter confronted his deepest fear. Rejection defined me, but so can redemption. The weight was crushing, every choice laced with pain. The garage's closure marked Robert's nadir. Boxes stacked in his new, dingy apartment echoing his defeat. "This is karma," he muttered to Peter during the move, voice hollow. Peter paused, hammer in hand. Karma? The word ignited fury. After all I'd suffered, now pity him? But compassion overrode, a reluctant tide. "We'll rebuild," Peter said, the words tasting like compromise. Inwardly, turmoil boiled. Help the man who broke me, or let him suffer as I did. Jamie's absence from the move spoke volumes. Their fight lingered like smoke. That evening, Peter returned home to find Jamie packing. "I can't do this anymore," Jamie said, eyes red. Peter's world shattered anew. Lose him? The pain eclipsed Robert's rejection, raw and immediate. "Please don't," Peter begged, voice cracking. They argued, emotions spilling. Jamie's resentment of Robert's shadow, Peter's divided heart. Choose, Jamie demanded. Peter's mind screamed. Why must I? Reconciliation with Jamie came tearfully. Peter promised boundaries. You're my priority. But doubt seeded. Can I keep it? Their embrace felt fragile. Love's foundation cracked. Robert's humility grew. He job-hunted humbly, facing ageism and bias. No one wants an old fool like me, he confided to Peter over coffee. Peter encouraged, sharing his own struggles. Bonds strengthened through shared vulnerability, but Peter's resentment simmered. Why absolve so easily? Society celebrated comebacks, but personal forgiveness demanded more. A pivotal moment. Peter's wedding planning with Jamie resumed, inviting Robert. As what? The reformed bigot. Robert joked self-deprecatingly. Peter laughed, but inwardly questioned. Deserve a seat? The invitation sparked controversy among friends. Some boycotted, calling it betrayal. He doesn't get a free pass, one said. Peter defended, but doubt gnawed. Am I too forgiving? Online debates raged after Peter shared anonymously, opinions splitting. Redemption arcs are real versus actions have consequences. Robert's new job at a community center aiding LGBTQ youth was poetic justice. Paying it forward, he told Peter. Seeing him counsel a rejected teen, Peter's emotions surged, pride mixed with pain. This is the dad I needed. But scars reminded. Too late for me? Jamie's jealousy flared during a family dinner. Robert's stories dominated. Jamie excused himself early. Later, confrontation. It's like I'm invisible. Peter apologized, heart heavy. Balance eluded, every gain a loss. Climax built at a pride parade. Peter marched with Jamie, Robert joining hesitantly. Cheers surrounded, but a heckler yelled at Robert. Hypocrite! Robert stood firm, apologizing publicly. Peter watched, tears welling, growth evident. But at what cost? Post-parade, father and son talked alone. I'm sorry for everything, Robert said, breaking. Peter hugged him, forgiveness flooding. I forgive you, Dad. The release was cathartic, but bittersweet. Why did it take ruin to get here? With bonds mended, Peter and Jamie married in a small ceremony, Robert walking Peter down the aisle. Joy overflowed, but undercurrents of past pain lingered. Society applauded the story when shared, but critics decried forced happy ending. Years passed. Peter thrived professionally, Jamie by his side, Robert a doting grandfather to their adopted child. But reflections haunted. Was karma fair or cruel? In quiet moments, Peter pondered the journey's toll. The emotional scars, lost time, happiness achieved, but at immense cost. Was the father's redemption truly earned, or merely a product of his own suffering?